We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Rafino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. RELAX. 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 Listen, you would have thought that we're all the way back to 2021, 2020, 6-6, doom and gloom. Oh, no, we're never going to win another game. Guys, we got to relax and see what this team and how this team responds. Sure, Grambling's not going to be the team that you would historically say, oh, well, we're going to find a lot out about our team. No, you're not. You're not. And I'm with you. But I just think that we need to relax. Some need to relax. Also, winning covers a multitude of sins and losing magnifies them. We'll talk about it again here tonight in Rafino's Rants. That's how we'll start the show. Saturday expectations, personnel changes, and the reality of those personnel changes. Some questions that we've been hearing, some just been asking around about some things. Maybe, we'll talk about some of those personnel changes to expect here tonight. I don't think that it will be a massive overhaul, if you will, of personnel changes. I do believe that there will be some that we need to look out for. Zack Nagy joins us at 7:30. We'll talk all things LSU. We'll talk all things Tigers. What did he think? What does he want to see going into week 2 versus Grambling? Mississippi State, your next opponent after Grambling takes on Arizona. We'll preview that a little bit as well, and what we could possibly think. We'll go do that and around your SEC in week 2, and it's week 1 for your New Orleans Saints in the NFL. So more football is always a great thing. More football is always a very, very good thing. So I'm looking forward to it. Penn Jones says, Blake, I'm down I-40 West, driving through Arkansas, counting all the meth heads. Adam Abear says, that's methed up. Y'all ain't right, man. Y'all ain't right. Y'all are not right. That is pretty funny, though. Loman, probably saying that name wrong, says Mapleton, Illinois, baby. I'll be in Atlanta by in the morning. I drive trucks. Well, be careful. If I probably said your name wrong, I'm sorry. I am sorry, but yes. Andrew Paul's Martin, and thank you for what you do. Truck driving is not easy. Paul Sub Martin says, speaking of RELAX, Hard Knocks finally got Rodgers talking aliens in last night's finale. Yeah, I hadn't watched it, but I did see the clip about it. That dude, he's a strange puppy, man. He is a strange puppy. Very strange puppy. Jay says, Blake, what's up, brother? What's happening to you? Where is everybody watching the show from? Since Penn Jones is going down I-40 seeing nothing but meth heads, where are you watching the show from? Austin McGee says Morrisville, North Carolina, via and from Baton Rouge. Richie Evans says 3-1 great right now off of I-20 off in them woods. Well, good to have you here with us, Richie. Good to have you with us. Jasmine says, listening from Memphis, Tennessee, Hickory Hill area. Love the show, Blake. Thank you for joining us here tonight, Jasmine. Chris Lomax says, we live from the 901. Is that Memphis too? Is that 901? Is Memphis in the 901? I've yet to see anybody in here from the 281-330-8004. Because Mike Jones about to blow. Because Mike Jones about to go. Before I got my major deal. Rob Boudreaux says, thanks to all the truck drivers. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Brandon Graziano says, I'm in Hammond, Louisiana. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. The 985 is in the house. I am going to probably mess this up. I hope I don't. But Brandon Dixon says, listening from Swansea, South Carolina. South Carolina in the house. South Carolina in the house. Danny Girl says, Valdosta, Georgia. Where is Valdosta, Georgia, Danny? Sherry Berry says, Montgomery, Alabama. They got a big game this week in the state of Alabama. Texas is coming into town. Columbus, Mississippi, man, says Bob Smith. Yes, indeed. John Sibley Butler says, Franktown. Franklinton's in the building. Via Austin, Texas. You got to love it. Ryan C. says, Austin ball. Or they say Houston ball. What'd I say, Austin? You got to love it. You got to love it. All right, let's get rolling. We got a lot to talk about. Guys, we got to relax, man. We got to relax. Roland Lewis says, the big raggedy Sherwood, to be exact. What up, Blake? The big raggedy. Yeah, Sherwood, man. Sherwood. Eric Kennedy says, Franklinton North, a.k.a. Tylertown. Yes, indeed. I dated a girl from Tylertown once. It's the worst experience of my life. Yeah, man, she was crazy. I should have known, man. We went on our first date. She had on jeans and a shirt was tucked in. She had a big old belt buckle. And I'm like, heck, man, I'm in my, yeah, look, man, I'm about to have me a good night. Boy, was I wrong. Look, my Italian ass ain't seen that many rednecks in the bar my entire life. Yoo-hoo! Got scared, man. Got scared, ain't gonna lie. Ain't gonna lie. Crying Belly says you have no clue what's what. Well, you don't have to be here. By the way, I saw a picture of you. You wear a man purse. In your profile picture on Facebook, you wear a man purse. Yes, indeed. Penn Jones says Kentwood girls are worse, Blake. Yeah. They call him Britney Spears. I saw this. Let me represent for my hometown right quick. Robert Law says better than dating a girl from Bogue, Blake. I did date a girl from Bogaloo. Interesting times, man. Interesting times. Yeah, my dude up here, he copies all my videos, copyright infringement, wears a man purse. Can't trust people from Slidell, man. Can't do it. All right. We got a lot to get into. And if you don't think I know what I'm talking about, you don't have to be here. The only reason you're here is because we have a following. You don't have to do it. You can leave. Or we'll just block you. Doesn't matter to me. Merce, says Charlie Bennett. That's right. The man wears a merce. It's not a merce. It's a satchel. How can you wear a purse as a man? Grow up, Peter Pan. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. Share to all of those social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on Fubo TV or wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe, and tell Fubo that you love us because we love them. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. Good friends over at GM. We got a lot to discuss. Personnel changes from LSU coming this Saturday. We talk about that next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50. That's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50 to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down on the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Rafino sent you on by. Let me start off with here because I forgot about this. I had forgot about this. Show Nuff on YouTube says Big Preston guy, I'm assuming you mean Big Preston, been getting spicy this year. Let me start off with this. And I want to be as what's the word I'm looking for here? I want to be as nice as I can be. Because at the end of the day, if stuff comes of this, it is what it is. Preston is a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine. He'll continue to be a friend of mine. Today, he was, I guess, attacked a little bit from somebody in our media corps because of him breaking down, like not giving his opinion, just breaking down where every one of Jaden Daniels' throws went. Meaning this went here, that went there, this is the marker, all this stuff. Beautifully done by Preston. Nothing wrong with it. It was not an opinion piece. Well, today, a LSU media member that does their show from 3 to 6 on 104.5 had some very interesting words to say about him. Now, Preston is the type of guy who is a hard worker, is going to put his head down, do what he's got to do, lovely wife, lovely family. He's not going to say anything. Come at me with that same shit. If you're going to talk shit, here's what I don't understand. When you have lies that go out, like specific lies, guys, LSU is listening to music in the locker room. Why I continue to get these DMs or whatever, guys, I promise you they are. I promise you they are. When we're going out to practice and they're listening to, very, what's the word I want to use here? Vulgar rap. Yeah, if they're playing it at practice in front of the media, I'm pretty sure they're doing it in the locker room too. You talk to people out there, they're like, I ask, and they're like, wait, what did you just ask me? And I'm having to apologize. Yeah, man, I'm just, people keep asking me. I have no idea what's going on. In reference to Preston, if you're going to attack somebody that you know that is going to respond. Now, I know that you were asked a question in all of this, but we got to be better, myself included, at attacking somebody that has nothing. He just charted something. If you want to go off on somebody, come at us. Come at me. LSU lost on Sunday. Break that shit down. What you don't need to be doing, and something that we talked about religiously on this show, Keon Coleman's been a dude. When you say that he can't come to LSU and play, I told you all season that was horse shit. Maybe start listening to somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about. Attacking a dude that I don't know who he is, that's bullshit. Everybody on this beat knows who each other is. That's bullshit. When are we going to start growing the fuck up? So, If you want to attack somebody that's in the media core, our number's right here. 225-435-9387. Call it. All right. It's not what we were going to talk about, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Grow up. Because I promise you, when I go out there, you don't say shit. And you know that you don't. Attack somebody else. Let's get rolling. All right. Speaking of that, I guess a little bit. To dial it back a little bit, maybe that should have just been my Rafino's rants. Who knows? Winning covers a multitude of sins. It always has and it always will. It did it for Les a lot of times. It did it for Ed. It does it for a lot of coaches all over the place. All over the place. One thing, though, about winning, covering those multitude of sins, losses magnify the issues and those sins. Guys, 3/4 of this game on Sunday, you were right there with them. And I've said it repeatedly, but I constantly see the fan base in our chats and everybody conversating with us about the doom and gloom. I get it. It sucks. But I went back and watched the game today. And you know what? One thing that I was really encouraged by, like really just encouraged by, was the simple nature that in the beginning of that game, you were throwing punches at them. Like, it was high intensity in the beginning. You were up 17-14 against what now is going to be probably the number 3 team in the country. If the playoff polls came out, Florida State would be in the top 4. They would be. Now, it's not there yet. We're just into week 1. You came out in the first half swinging punches. You have to capitalize on the things that when you get wrong, meaning the 4th down calls, not making the right reads. Yeah, the O-line got blown up, but Jaden's got to make a better read on that zone pull. He's got to give it. If the O-line's getting blown up and you're not going to be able to roll out, you got to give it to give somebody a chance other than you, because you are not going to be able to get to the outside. Brian Kelly talked about that today in his SEC teleconference. The things that Brian Kelly has made a name for himself about is when a team underperforms one week, he's been able to respond in a really, really good way throughout his career. Now, LSU probably, now, knock on wood, because anything can happen on any given Saturday, but the likelihood of you losing the game on Saturday is not that likely. It really isn't. Grambling is not a great team when it comes to being compared to playing a team like LSU. And I know that you think to yourself that there's probably not a lot that you can take of it, but one thing that you can, I do think that there's going to be personnel changes. Just talking to some people around the program, it's not going to be an massive overhaul. Now, it might not look like massive overhaul changes because they're going to get a lot of people involved. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I would hate to be Grambling this week. Brian Kelly today on his SEC teleconference, he was asked about how they practiced. And he said that, look, it's not been practice that's been the issue. They have really gone out there and done a lot of great things in camp. They've had a phenomenal last couple of days at practice. And that he said, I'll admit, we just got to go out there and perform and play the way that we know how to play. Those are encouraging things. When your team is let down and not practicing well and they don't want to get back on the field and show how good they are, you hear things like Shane Beamer at South Carolina actually going out in a press conference and saying, yeah, we're not practicing good enough. We got to get better in areas. You do have a really good football team. Maybe we missed on our expectations. And I have no issue saying that I'm wrong, but you have a long season to go. A long season to go. The truth be told, LSU does have the talent, the coaching, the ability, the outright ability to run the table before they get to Alabama. They can do that. You know, I've heard a lot of things in reference to, and one thing that is concerning, the only thing that is concerning, is if you do look at last year into this one, is that you had times in games last year that you were down and had to come back in. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn. There were a lot, Florida to some extent in that first half. You had to battle your way back. If there's one thing that's going to have to change, and what Brian Kelly has talked about all week and pretty much all offseason, is that we got to start off with a better sense of urgency. How do you do that? Well, quite frankly, I think in talking about the piece in reference to what I was really encouraged about going back and watching that game today is, man, in that first half, if you're able to look, you get in the same scenario against Mississippi State, they do not have the defensive pieces to where you're not going to be able to run and push and punch that ball into the end zone. They don't have the dudes that Florida State does. It's just when everything around LSU started to collapse and crumble that you had those issues. How do you fix them? Personnel changes. One thing that I feel pretty confident in, one thing that I feel very confident in is the issues that you saw a week ago. I don't know if they're going to manifest themselves this week, but I do think that everybody has a little bit of a shorter leash, because Brian Kelly is not going to sit here and let his teeth get kicked in. It's not going to happen. I got sent a meme about him being less again today, like he's Les Miles. He's not that dude. He will not allow for that to happen. Like I said, winning covers a multitude of sins. Losing magnifies them. In reality, you had more than 3 quarters to where you could have been up in that game and win it. Fourth quarter, it was what it was. The wheels fell off of the train. I don't even want to call them training wheels, but it was like you were driving down the car in an interstate and you're going 90 miles an hour, and the wheels just fell off. Well, this guy made a bad pass. This guy didn't make catches. You got to flush that. And I will tell you, from a team perspective, if there's one thing that you got to tell this team, like, do I think that there's going to be more guys at wide receiver this week? Yeah. Do I think that they're going to change some things up at running back and get more of a rotation and commit to the running game? Absolutely they are. Do I think that there's going to be different guys at DB, at corner? Absolutely, I think that there will be, because they're already doing it at practice. Do I think that Mason Smith is really juiced up and geared up and ready to go? Yeah. And you know what else? Mekhi Wingo, who was single blocked for most of the first half, is not going to have that. No team this point over, knock on wood, if Mason Smith is able to stay healthy, is going to be able to double team the both of them. They would have to do a lot of crazy things that would not benefit them. But I just feel very confident moving forward that you have the ability to run this table until you go into the first week of November. And you don't want to hear that. And I get it. You want a lot of these questions to be answered right now. But you're not going to get that. You have talent, man. You have talent. You have a lot of freshman talent. You have talent that returned from a year ago. Don't let that cloud your judgment. Don't let it cloud your judgment, because if you do, well, there's no reason. Now, Florida State beating you, okay, look, they got the dudes. In 2 weeks, if you lose to Mississippi State on the road, yeah, that's something that cannot happen. Losing to Florida State, yeah, okay, all right, I got you. You got better dudes than we do at some areas. Losing to Mississippi State, then I don't want to say panic, but then I'd be with you. All right, well, we got some deeper issues to figure out here. It's not going to happen, though. Not going to happen. All right. Couple comments before Zack Nagy joins us. LSU Sports Fanatic says, Blake, I saw someone double down on saying LSU doesn't play music in the locker room pregame. Yeah, I told you last night it's horseshit. Like, guys, come on. You want this? I promise you, I'll give you the song if you want it. Stop. Dude, bro. We literally have video of Brian Kelly when music's being played in the locker room, hitting the gritty, going in there to Alabama. Come on, dude. All right, let's get to a couple more. Coon-ass Corn Dog says, say we take a loss to Tennessee. Do you think it would be best to play for 2024? I don't know what that means. I have no idea. We don't play Tennessee. I have no – all I know is this. All I know is this, okay? You got your asses kicked by Tennessee a year ago, and you responded by winning the West. Can Brian Kelly rally his team to do that? You got the dudes, man. You got the coaching staff. The wheels came off. You're battling with a team in the fourth quarter. Guys, you drove the ball 35 yards before the interception happened when Malik fell down. I'd love to know what happens if Malik doesn't. Anyway, last one before we get to Nagy. C. King says, we won't learn much this week versus Grambling. I agree. I just hope they get it straight before they head to Starkville. I agree with that. But I do think that you're going to see a massive overhaul in personnel changes. I say massive overhaul. What would feel like a massive overhaul and guys rotating in and out of there. And you're right. Look, Mississippi State plays Arizona this week. We'll talk this after Nagy. We talk with Zack Nagy. We're going to talk a lot of Mississippi State, Arizona, because that's the opponent that you have in 2 weeks. But look, man, confidence is a big thing. Don't let, again, before we get to him, winning covers those multitude of sins. Losing magnifies them. And I don't think you had a bad game the first 3 quarters of it. I really don't. Do you got to change some things? Yes. Do you got to get LSU has no business with this team going an entire game or 120 minutes against a team in back-to-back years without having a sack. That cannot happen. You got to bring Jordan Travis down. All right, let's go to LSU Country Sports Illustrated. Zack Nagy, we talk to him next. Let's talk about our good buddy Tyler Alexander over at eXp Realty and our good friend Steve Bean over at Bayou Daiquiris and Bayou Bowl to Go. Don't go anywhere. We're back next.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Bayou Daiquiris at Bayou Bowl and Go is owned and operated locally by Steve and Lisa Bean. You can find them at 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington, Louisiana. That's 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington. The North Shore's first crawfish drive-thru is about to step it up another notch by bringing you drive-thru daiquiris as well. You can call in your order today at 985-888-1914, 985-888-1914, because you know what? Daiquiris and crawfish, it's a Louisiana thing.
We're back.
You look like you just got broke up with or something. You okay, buddy?
Tired. Long day. We're getting there.
You're getting there. All right. So, look, I don't want to spend, Zach, with you a lot of time on Florida State, but I obviously want to ask you about the game. I want to move. What do you think that LSU needs to move forward is, I think, where we'll spend a lot of our time. What did you think of it? Florida State, LSU.
It was a tough scene. I mean, I was out there and, my really big takeaway was obviously like they shined in the first half. They handled business. They did what they had to do. Obviously, contradict myself here and say some missed opportunities in the red zone. It's a clear-cut thing. That if you watch the game, you know that was underwhelming. But for the most part, they pushed the ball down the field. They got where they needed to be. They just couldn't convert in the red zone, and that was a major challenge for this program. And then you get to the third quarter, and it just a switch just flipped, man. They got stopped on that first drive in the third quarter, and after that, they were just completely defeated. A 31-0 run from that point on is just completely unacceptable. There was just miscommunication in all fronts, of whether it was in the secondary, the offensive line, because the run game just couldn't get into a rhythm at all. There were just so many different situations that took my eye, and it was just unacceptable, man. And you and I have talked about this from the beginning of August to here we are, first week of September. That's secondary, dude. It's piss poor, and it's an unacceptable spot for LSU football. And I just don't know if it can take that next step. You're going to have to get reps from Denver Harris at some point. Kelly's going to have to allow him to earn some reps and get on the field. He's going to have to improve. Ashton Stamps is going to have to get some time. This team has a lot of work to do. It's going to start in the secondary, in my opinion. Your offense is going to hit its stride. It's a matter of this defense just getting it together, gaining continuity, and also reaching that next level. Allow Perkins to do what he does best. Let him and Omar Spates hold down the second level, and then have your secondary hopefully, just take a step up. You just need it to take a little bit of a step up. And, you get there and you'll get where you need to be hopefully, but really, really tough spot in Orlando, man. That was a brutal, brutal game. It was one of the worst games I've seen from LSU in quite some time, and I believe you agree as well.
No, I agree. We've covered Brian Kelly for what, 18 months now?
18 months.
Yeah. So Monday or Tuesday, really, I never really seen him like that. He seemed pissed off.
Yeah.
Like he seemed like pissed off at himself, at the game plan that he had or the team had, just about everything. I kind of like it.
I like it too. It's not the LSU standard of football. And, one thing that really caught my eye that he said was that he made a promise to LSU and he made a promise to the LSU fans that he would allow this program to get to that, I'll say it again, that next step, that next level. He'll level up and they'll reach that next gear. And he felt as though he didn't fulfill that promise, on September 3rd in Orlando. And in order to fulfill that promise, you play the LSU standard of football. And that is win the damn most important games. And that was one of the most important games in quite some time. And, they dropped the ball. And I think a pissed off Brian Kelly is something that this program needs to be a little bit happy about because he's going to get the job done when you need him most. So hopefully he can get this team back in stride and, carry on from here.
Remember the last time you and I spoke, I said that the big question that I had fielded during the week was how many times do I think Jane Daniels runs? And we both agreed that I didn't give two shits how many times he ran as long as they won.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he ran enough. I don't care if he had 25 runs or 2 runs. As long as they beat a Florida State, you can figure everything else like this week against Grambling. Mississippi State is not the team that you're facing in Florida State. Zach, I knew that they were going to have a different philosophy with him and him sitting back in the pocket and throwing the football. What I didn't expect is for them not to utilize his legs at all because we had not seen that. Look, people think that we go out here and that if something doesn't happen on the field when they see it, then when we go to practice that it's a lie. It's not a lie. I mean, were you surprised by that game plan of not really letting him utilize his legs when you don't have a running game?
I think there were pieces that I wanted to see where you and I are kind of on the same page here where, I wanted to see a couple quarterback draws. I wanted to see him, get downfield with it because we know how damn fast he is, man. He had that one breakaway play where, that he shined. That could have been like a quote-unquote Heisman moment where he shook the secondary and bounced to the left side of the field.
Dude. It was so beautiful.
It was perfect. And, when I kind of look at something like that, it's like, okay, you see that, but you know that there's a lack of creativity within the offense at that point in time. So why not put the ball in his hands a little bit more and allow him to do things with his legs? Because you and I are sitting here saying how impressive he is when he's running. And it's tough because, the LSU fan base wants to see him throw the ball more. They don't want to see him rely on his legs more. But, a lot of people need to sit here and realize that there's a balanced attack when it comes to Jaden Daniels. He can't just rely on his arm. You won't get the results that you want. You need a balanced attack of him running and throwing the football. And we only saw, 9-10 rushes from him. And they weren't, designed quarterback runs. So something that I'm saying and something that I think you want to see as well is, maybe some more quarterback runs, some designed runs, and allow him to utilize his legs in that front.
Moving forward, what's the one thing that you want to see? Like if you go, when you go to the game Saturday and you walk out of Death Valley and you don't see it, you're pissed. Like, what's one thing you have to see on Saturday, even though it's Grambling?
I mean, if I'm looking specifically at the Grambling game, I want to see a couple of youngsters hit the field and get some reps under their belt in that regard. But aside from that, that's a given.
But getting them with the ones is what you're trying to say.
No, I just want to see them get on the field. What I want to see from this program, and something that I didn't see last weekend, is allow the secondary needs to get into that next gear, man. It is something that's been the main topic of conversation. It's the headliners. It's everything. You need to see Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut, not be burnt toast. You need to see Deuce Chestnut hit that gear because, that matchup with Keon Coleman was not friendly for him. And granted, Keon Coleman is a special, special player. Like that, he's that dude. That's a first-round type talent. He's that dude. But you need your secondary to show up. And, it's Grambling. You're going to pray, and, your third stringers could hopefully show up against Grambling. But you want to see, some type of continuity. You want to see some type of gelling. You want to see some chemistry being formed within that secondary because, this is the last tune-up game before you hit a couple of SEC games. You got Mississippi State the following week. So you want to take this tune-up game with force. Don't take it lightly. And you want to see that secondary, gel as one.
I'm not trying to call this player out, but I think it's an honest question because of the amount of drops that he has.
Kyron Lacy.
What do you do there?
It has to be, yeah. And right, I took the words. I'm hoping that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
It's common knowledge here, man. It is. It's becoming.
I mean, look. At some point, Zach, he's got 11 drops in the last 5 games. That cannot happen. Look, we got to give somebody else a chance if that's going to continue, right?
Right. And look, I've covered Kyron for quite some time. UL, whatever you want to call it. I'm a graduate of there. I covered him when I was out there, and I've covered Kyron for quite some time. And the expectations was that he would come to Baton Rouge and take that next step and level up. And I keep saying the same verbiage: hit that next step, level up. I keep saying that, and that's something that we expected from Kyron Lacy from fall camp. He shined in the spring game. He had that phenomenal catch, and
he shined in practice.
You had people
he was all over the place in practice.
You have people in the media kind of sitting back and saying like, okay, like Kyron Lacy is the type of guy who can break out, and then he struggles in week 1, and then it's wow, the BR media is garbage. And we're sitting back here and we're watching him play some phenomenal football in camp and practice.
Yeah.
And he dropped the ball. But to answer your question, man, it's you eventually if this keeps up, you have to let somebody like Aaron Anderson enter the slot and see him get some reps. A guy that I've been high on is Chris Hilton. For him to not see the field was extremely interesting to me. I would love to see Chris Hilton, Shelton Sampson get on the field. Let some other guys showcase their skill set, and that's why it's good to have a tune-up game right here in Grambling State. Let some other guys, other mouths to feed, and the drops are unacceptable. You have to allow other people to eat.
I know it's Grambling, and you don't want to show everything you have or creativity. Would you experiment some things, other things outside of rushing and being in the middle, being on the edge and being in the middle with Harold Perkins?
Yes. I mean, this is the game where look, no disrespect to Grambling. I have a tremendous amount of respect for that program and what they're doing. But this is a game where, it's going to be a practice come the late second quarter. You're hopefully you're going to be up front, kicking some behind. And from here, you can allow – the word I'm really looking for is creativity. Like you said, you kind of took it out of my mouth. You want to see the defense switch up some things, test some things out, tune some things up, polish the game. Offense, the exact same thing. I want to see Caleb Jackson get some reps under his belt, see what he can do because the run game was abysmal. So, yeah, this is going to be a game where you throw some things out there, you test your backups, you test your third-string guys and see what everything's about because there was a lack of fight. There was a lack of swagger, on Sunday. And there's some things that have to change on the field, and I think Grambling can be a situation where you test the waters in a couple different dimensions.
Zach, one question that I have is basically, do you think this team is as bad as what some are making them out to be? Because I don't.
LSU fans are tough. I've been on this beat for a little bit now, and I've learned that LSU fans
They're
are
tough. Yeah,
they're
right.
tough, and it's just the standard, and it kind of ties back into what Brian Kelly said. That he came here to fulfill the standard of LSU football, and he made a promise, and he didn't fulfill that promise on Sunday. But again, to answer your question, no, I don't think this team's as bad as people are saying. I'm starting to lean towards a 9-3 season myself. And to me, on paper, it's not necessarily a step back, but from an expectations perspective, it's a step back. This team was supposed to, hit that stride and, hopefully, get towards that college football playoff slot-ish around there. No, this team's not as bad as people are making it out to be, but there are expectations when you have such a passionate fan base with LSU, and there's some things that have to be cleaned up. And, when you have a CEO type figure like Brian Kelly at the helm of your program, I firmly believe that he'll get this ship sailing, smooth sooner rather than later. And it's going to start with defense. Matt House is going to have to switch some things up in that regard.
He's got
going to happen. I believe in Matt House. I think he's going to switch some things up. And this offense has the talent. They will hit their stride. That offense will hit its stride. It's a matter of, can the defense do the same? And if that happens, we'll see. But I believe this team can be better than people are making it out to be at this moment in time. Breathing so.
You brought his name up. You brought this guy's name up earlier, and I want to be careful because I don't want to overstep on what Brian Kelly, I think that he's trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned earlier about Denver Harris. Is it time to see Denver Harris?
Denver Harris is the type of guy off the field and on the field is two completely different things. There was a reason why he was running with the threes, because the production wasn't there, and Brian Kelly felt that there was another gear that he needed to reach in that realm. He wasn't competing with the twos and ones because his game wasn't there, and that, the coaches didn't think that he had gotten to that point yet. You can't throw somebody in the fire just to change something up because there needs to be change. You need to have a player who's capable of making an impact. Does Denver Harris need to continue sharpening his skill set in order to make an impact for LSU? Probably. Could that happen this weekend against Grambling State in an in-game situation? Yes. I think you need to throw him in the fire, but at the same time, you need to make sure he's ready to be thrown in that fire.
Right. It's going to be interesting because next week, because Nussmeier is going to play in this game.
Yeah.
Right? Nuss is going to play in this game.
100%.
And here's the truth. He's going to go off. So
Look, let me just say, last year versus Southern, it wasn't the prettiest of performances from him. He's grown as a player, and I'm on the same page as you. I do think he's going to cut up, but I'm going to play devil's advocate and say last year he didn't necessarily do what we hoped he would do. But yeah, I think Nussmeier is going to step into the fold and do his thing, man. He's a dog. He's going to get the ball downfield. He's going to do what people want Jaden Daniels to do. And, carry on with what you were going to say, because I know you're about to start some stuff. So just get it over with.
No, I'm not. I'm really asking, like, what do you do? I mean, if he does go off again, okay, and you have 3 games where he's, do you have the conversation internally?
Tough
because
question.
I don't think you can pull Jaden. I really don't. So let me just make this very clear. Like, I'm not saying that remotely, but even getting him a series, what is it? I mean, I don't think he should be pulled, but everybody wants him to be. But I don't see it. I don't believe that he should. What do you think, in that realm with the both of them that are both really talented?
Ultimately, this is Jaden Daniels' team, and
I agree.
It's going to be his team from now until the final snap of this season. And sure, Jaden Daniels could come in, cut up, do what we want to see him do, and continue polishing his skill set in an in-game situation. And that's what we want to see from Nuss. He's the future. He's going to be your guy in 2024. And I believe in Nuss. I love what he brings to the table. He's kind of a,
Got some
not a
swag
wild
to
card,
him.
but there's some swagger to him. There's some fight. There's some dog. The team likes him. And the team loves Jaden Daniels. but there's just a different, dimension when it comes to Garrett Nussmeier. And I think, he's going to come in and do what he needs to do. But to answer your question, this is Jaden Daniels' team. Nussmeier's going to come in and do what he needs to do. He's going to handle business. I want to agree with that as well. But it's Jaden Daniels' squad, and it's going to be his squad till the end.
Was there player interviews today?
There were. We talked to Jaden Daniels
and
Mason Smith
and
Noah
Mason Smith,
Kane.
correct?
Yeah.
Were you interested to find out that Brian Kelly, funny how that injury bug went away pretty quickly after he was eligible to play. My question is, he said today on the teleconference that he's going 30 plays. He's been pretty excited to see the big man out there because he's never really played a full game with Brian Kelly as the head coach. Thoughts on his return?
Yeah, I mean, Mason Smith hasn't played a full game in the purple and gold in 20 months.
How nuts is that?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. And, Mason Smith was talking today, he kind of chuckled off the 30 snap count thing because he knows, that's likely what it's going to be this weekend. Even if he
ain't going to play him more than 30 snaps because it's scrambling. Let's get that understood. It's not because of anything else other.
Exactly. And that's what we were kind of on the same page about. But, he's fired up. He's ready. He's sore. That ankle, he said, is going to be sore for a little bit, banged it up during fall camp. And it's going to be something that's going to, linger for a little bit. He's a big guy, man. It's a big dude. It was great talking to him today. He opened up. I put something out just now about he opened up on the suspension. He talked a little bit about, how he wished he had a little.
What did he say when he was asked?
He was a little bit misinformed in that regard, but he wishes that there wasn't as much miscommunication as there was. And he thought that he was doing something good, and he just wasn't on the same page with the NCAA. And it's something that he took and he learned from. It's a growing pain, and he's just ready to get back on the field. And he kept telling himself from a mental standpoint, he sat out a whole year. What was one more game? And at the end of the day, he's just ready to get back on the field and suit up alongside Mekhi Wingo in that defensive line and get back out there. He's fired up, man. I'm excited to see what Mason Smith does.
Now, look, interior defensive line wise, Jordan Jefferson and Mekhi Wingo were all over the place.
Yeah.
Adding him does bring a different dynamic. So, Zach, here's the thing that I don't want to say that I don't want to even say pisses me off. Could you imagine a defense? And look, you're going to have to take Swinson or Gofu out for Perkins to rush. If you're going to keep in Jones, if you're going to keep in Smith, if you're going to keep in Wingo, okay, that is deadly if you keep those four out there. They're going to have to make that change. I don't care what anybody tells me. That unit showed against Florida State that they can play.
Yeah. Mekhi Wingo was the single most impressive player on the field when he was on the field, defensively, of course. He shined, man. And take PFF grades with a grain of salt, but the highest graded defensive player last week. So many quarterback pressures, so many quarterback hits. He was in the backfield at will, and he was handling business. Mekhi Wingo was an absolute dog on Sunday, and I was so impressed with what he did. And Braden Swinson, we're talking about taking him off the field and when Perkins is rushing. And yes, you're going to have to do that. But at the same time, when Swinson was on the field in 22, 25, 26 snaps, dude, he had 5 tackles. I'm trying to remember, 2 quarterback hurries. I mean, he was doing his damn thing, man.
And Perkins both in there. Rush 5 for all I care. Play
zone.
Get
to the damn quarterback.
Anyway.
Hell yes, dude. I'm on the exact same page as you. Mekhi Wingo cut up. Braden Swinson did the same. You add Harold Perkins in that fold as well if they use him as a pass rusher. And, dude, you have something really good going up front. And I think you and I are on the same page in that regard because if you utilize your weapons to the best of your ability and figure out a scheme that can allow them to hit their stride, man, that defense can be something. You don't really have to worry about your secondary as much because you'll be in the damn backfield all day. So, that's what I'm looking at. I want to see Mason Smith and Mekhi do their thing inside and have, Harold Perkins and maybe Swinson rush on the edges and work from there because you can have something special with this defense, dude.
All right, last one for you, Zach. Jaden Daniels, you said was available for media today. Was that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so Mason Smith, Jaden, and who else?
We had Noah Kane.
Noah Kane, okay. Did Jaden say anything that stood out to you?
One thing that caught my eye about all of these players is that they're talking about the intensity levels of practice. They said that this week they've leveled up. They've taken it up another notch, and it's been intense practices. It's been something that Brian Kelly's not letting anything slide. They're working. They're working. They took Sunday personally, and Jaden said it. Mason said it. Noah said it as well. They're ready. They're
pissed off.
They're mad. And you said it earlier, about Brian Kelly in his press conference on Tuesday. He was pissed off. And I think it's starting to trickle down the totem pole to the players as well. So from an intensity perspective, they're saying practice is getting a little bit different. And I think it's going to be nothing but positive signs for this program because intense practices, equal. What I'm really looking for is from an intensity perspective, there's going to be some position battles brewing. There's going to be change. And you're going to see some guys get fired up. And I'm excited to see that happen in practice.
Oh, shit.
We want to see this. This is exciting. It was exciting to see Jaden Daniels fired up. Omar Spates was another guy that we got to talk to today. He said that it was fired up. He said that him and Perkins, are ready to hit that next year.
He got such a bad rap because it's his job to take on the block of that counter, and it's not his job to go out there and make tackles, which is I think non-experienced people don't
understand that. Dimension. Yeah.
What did Noah Kane say? Anything just before we get you out of here?
Got to talk to Noah Kane for a little bit. He, like I said, he was one of the guys who also harped on the intensity of practice. It was, Jaden hit that nail and that hit it as well, but Noah Kane as well was really talking about that, and he wants to see that run game hit its stride as well because it's just all about a balanced attack. You can't have a one-dimensional offense in the passing game, and you can't put all the blame on Jaden Daniels. Is another thing that he was saying. It's a team effort, and there are other things that are going to have to change, and one of those things that are going to have to change is get into a groove in the run game because if you have a balanced attack with this offense, man, it's over because you have so many damn weapons that you allow them to hit their stride, it's over. So Noah Kane was really kind of just talking about utilizing the weapons, hitting their stride, and continuing to work in practice and make the most of their opportunities.
I lied. Last one. All your money in your bank account has to go into picking Alabama or Texas. Who do you go with?
I liked what I saw from Milroe this weekend.
I agree.
And I did. And I'll probably get crucified for saying Bama. I'll probably get crucified for saying Texas either. It's not really a win-win for me.
Well, I think there is a point in this LSU fan base that there are some people that want to watch Alabama kick the dog manure out of Texas, though.
I was impressed with what Alabama brought to the table. If I'm putting down a mortgage, I'm probably going to put it on Bama, man. I want to see them do their thing and kick some Texas ass because I think they can do that. I liked what I saw from their defense. So yeah, answer your question one word, Bama.
All right, that's Zack Nagy, LSU Country, Sports Illustrated. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
My guy, I appreciate it.
All right, that's Zack Nagy, always fantastic in everything he does. Let's do this. Before we get out of here, let's get to another quick break. We'll go around your SEC for week 2. Stay with us. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Rafino at AYS sent you on by. As you might know, my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Around your SEC this week, so listen, there are a lot of games. We've talked about 2 of them. Texas A&M goes to Miami. Alabama goes to Texas. Arizona and Mississippi State play on SEC Network at 6:30 now. I'm sure a lot of you will be watching LSU and Grambling, and you should be. I'm really intrigued by this game. Let me tell you why. Obviously, it's the next opponent that you play outside of Grambling, the next Power 5 opponent that you play. even though I love the Lions, even though it's my alma mater, I love it. I'm going to call it what it is. Mississippi State wasn't tested. Now, is Arizona going to be able to come down to Mississippi in this heat and test the Bulldogs? I don't know. But when you go over a massive regime change because of something so unfortunate, like what Mississippi State did in Arizona, or what Mississippi State did with Mike Leach passing, I want to see them as well to see, hey, what are they really? They ran the ball for close or a little bit over 200 yards. Will Rogers didn't look too half bad. And you did not play really good against Mississippi State a year ago. What do you need to do to beat Mississippi State? I think that game's very intriguing. Arizona does have a little bit of talent now. They're pretty well coached, right? Like they got some good dudes out there. So we'll see. There are some Rudy Poo ones. Here's another one that I'm really interested in. Auburn goes to Cal. Now, Auburn's the better team. Without question, they are the better team. It's always interesting to see, though, a team from the South going that far out west to play an opponent. They played Rudy Poo Tech last week in Auburn. Now they play Cal, who is not really that good. They're not good at all. I am also intrigued to see how quickly Hugh Freeze is able to get that team going and get that team rolling. So I'm looking forward to those two. We got a lot of comments in here. I know you are debating about Jaden and Nuss. I know. I see it. Paul Martin says, I want Texas to win just so Bama can be miserable too. Yeah. He says, I want Texas to win just so, or is it the same thing? Yeah, it's the same comment twice. I get it. And look, I don't fully disagree. I don't really care who wins or loses in this one. I really kind of want Texas to get a little humbled. If they lose this, I think that it's a must-win game for Sark, dude. Like, I really do believe it's a must-win. He's gonna have to win one of these games eventually. Texas is gonna have to win one of these games eventually. The reason we say that they're not back is because they keep losing them. They go to Tuscaloosa, and God willing, they get boat raced. What are we going to say? We're going to say the same thing that we always say about Texas, and it's probably not a bad thing. They're not going to be tested in the Big 12. They're not going to get tested. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I do think it's of a must-win because, look, Texas does not play anybody in the Big 12 this year. They don't play a lot of great opponents. And this is really their maybe Oklahoma, because, Oklahoma still put up 70-something points on Arkansas State, 73 points. I think they could possibly get some things rolling. Who knows what's going to happen in Oklahoma. But outside of Oklahoma, they play Rudy Poo Tech, Sissy State, a bunch of teams that aren't really that good. Guys, Baylor's not that good under Dave this year. They're not that good under Dave this year. I hate to say it. I love Dave Aranda to death. They're not that good. They're just not. They got a quarterback out. I think Blake Shapen's out this week. Not going good over there for the Dave. And Dave's a great human being. He's a great football coach. Doesn't like to recruit all the time. That's why he's getting his ass kicked. But this is a must-win for me for Texas. Must win. They're going to have to find a way to get over that hump at some point. Paul Martin says, Berkeley, California hasn't been too kind of a trip to the SEC teams lately either, Blake. Tennessee in 2007 and Ole Miss in 2017. That's right. I'm intrigued by that one. I'm intrigued by Cal and Auburn. So we'll see. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll give you our keys to victory. Obviously, you know them. BLSU. But things that we need to see. We'll talk a lot about it more tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.